the United Nations called for a ceasefire. Israel, however, announced its decision. Operations in Gaza would continue. The recent escalation, with rockets raining down on Israeli cities and airstrikes pounding Gaza, has brought the region to a boiling point. Israel cites the need to dismantle Hamas's military infrastructure to protect its citizens from the constant threat of rocket fire. But critics argue that the continued offensive will only lead to more bloodshed. The world watches, holding its breath. Understanding Israel's current stance requires a journey back in time, delving into the complex layers of its history and the myriad events that have shaped its present. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is a tangled web of historical grievances, political maneuvering, and broken promises, stretching back over a century. Each side holds deep-seated beliefs and narratives that fuel the ongoing strife. The 1967 Six-Day War, a pivotal moment in this saga, saw Israel seize control of Gaza, the West Bank, and East Jerusalem, altering the geopolitical landscape dramatically. The rise of Hamas in Gaza, deemed a terrorist organization by Israel and many Western countries, further complicated the situation, leading to increased tensions and frequent clashes. Hamas's control of Gaza, the launching of rockets into Israel, and the construction of underground tunnels are cited by Israel as existential threats, prompting military responses and blockades. Can this cycle of violence be broken, or are these two peoples destined to forever remain locked in conflict? The quest for peace continues, with numerous attempts at negotiation and reconciliation, yet a lasting solution remains elusive. The international community finds itself at a crossroads, grappling with the far-reaching implications of Israel's recent decision. The stakes are high, and the world watches with bated breath, wondering what the next move will be. The United States, a staunch ally of Israel, faces a delicate balancing act. It must support its ally while also advocating for restraint and peace. This balancing act is a tightrope walk, with every step scrutinized by both domestic and international audiences. European nations, while condemning Hamas's rocket attacks, expressed deep concern over the rising civilian casualties in Gaza. Their voices add to the growing chorus, calling for an immediate ceasefire and humanitarian aid. The conflict has also exposed the deep fault lines within the international community, highlighting the immense challenges of achieving a unified response to such a complex and multifaceted crisis. Different nations have different stakes and perspectives, making consensus difficult. Images of destruction and suffering dominate news cycles globally, influencing public opinion and putting immense pressure on world leaders to act decisively. The humanitarian crisis is undeniable, and the world demands action. As the world holds its breath, one question remains paramount. Can diplomacy prevail over the drums of war? The answer to this question will shape the future of the region and the world at large. Beyond the political maneuvering and the endless rounds of diplomacy, and the geopolitical chess game, lies a human tragedy of immense proportions, affecting countless lives. The conflict in Gaza is not just about land or ideology, it's about the lives of ordinary people caught in the crossfire. In Gaza, densely populated and with limited infrastructure, the humanitarian situation is dire. The streets are crowded, and resources are scarce. Hospitals are overwhelmed with casualties. Essential supplies dwindle, and medical staff are stretched thin, and the specter of a full-blown humanitarian crisis looms large, threatening to engulf the region. The UN estimates that thousands have been displaced from their homes, seeking refuge in UN shelters already stretched to their limits, struggling to provide basic necessities. These shelters are overcrowded, and the distribution of humanitarian aid is a constant challenge. Amidst the rubble and despair, humanitarian aid workers tirelessly strive to bring relief, and stories of resilience and hope emerge, showcasing the indomitable spirit of the people. The path ahead remains shrouded in uncertainty. Will Israel's decision to continue its operation in Gaza crush Hamas's military capabilities and bring lasting peace? Or will it further escalate the conflict, leading to more suffering and instability? Calls for a ceasefire grow louder, but achieving a sustainable peace will require addressing the root causes of the conflict. The two-state solution, once seen as the most viable path to peace, seems increasingly elusive. Civil society organizations on both sides continue to work tirelessly, fostering dialogue and building bridges of understanding. The future of Israel and Palestine hangs in the balance. We stand at a precipice. Israel's decision to continue its military operation in Gaza despite the UN ceasefire presents a stark choice: escalation or de-escalation, violence or diplomacy. History teaches us that there are no easy answers in this land of ancient grudges and unfulfilled aspirations. But it also reminds us that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit yearns for peace. For the sake of Israelis and Palestinians, for the stability of the region, and for the conscience of humanity, the time to act is now. Let us choose wisely